All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Nancy Becker, founder of Invisible Warriors, and this is Silent Strength, the podcast where the stories you don't always hear take center stage. This space exists for women veterans whose strength often goes unnoticed, especially those navigating PTSD and military sexual trauma. These are women who've served, survived, and kept going, even when the weight of silence felt heavier than the ruck. At Invisible Warriors, we believe stories are more than memories, they're medicine. When shared, they remind us we're not broken, we're not weak, and we're definitely not alone. Each episode of Silent Strength brings you real conversations with courageous women, along with trusted experts who help us make sense of the road after service. This isn't about reliving the past for the sake of pain. It's about honoring resilience, naming the unseen battles, and finding practical hope for the next step forward. Some days that step is huge. Other days it's just getting out of bed. And yes, both count. Silent Strength is more than a podcast, it's a community. Whether you're a veteran finding your footing, a supporter trying to understand, or someone who simply believes these stories matter, you belong here. Today's guest is someone who embodies what this podcast is all about. The journey holds strength, and their voice adds to the growing chorus that says silence doesn't get the last word. So settle in, take a breath, and join us. Because when stories are shared, strength multiplies, and no warrior has to walk alone. Welcome, Deborah Mallow.
Thank you, Nancy. And everybody listening, let's just start by giving ourselves a hug, appreciating ourselves, valuing ourselves, and accepting ourselves, because from that strength we can move forward.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm going to start out with a couple of questions, but first, tell us who you are and why you decided to be on this show today.
Well, I'm excited that Nancy invited me because we all have a story, we all have a journey. Everybody struggles one way or the other, even if you think you're the only one. It's just being human. So there I was, pushing myself to exhaustion, wanting to be the best, and I just burnt myself out. And I went into a cycle of negativity, and I just wasn't happy. And maybe some of you can relate, or all of you can relate to just the feeling of just feeling stuck and not happy. The joy wasn't there. And there I was standing on a subway platform, and I said to myself, with the tears in my eyes, because I was just exhausted from pushing myself so hard, I said, if I don't change, nothing will ever change. And it really has to do with all of us valuing ourselves enough to make that change. Just little shifts, not big overwhelms, not big overhauls. It's just little things that you do consistently, changing your mindset, shifting, flipping the script so that you say things to yourself more positively than negatively. Instead of saying, I would constantly, I'm stupid, why did I do this, oh, I should have done that. I focused on all the negative things that I thought didn't meet my standards, and not all the great things that I did in a day. And just changing that script, saying, you know what, I did my best, and move forward slowly, because our brains love patterns and thrive on patterns. Slowly that inner dialogue shifted. Did it happen overnight? No. But I just couldn't live like that anymore. And I'm sure many of you could relate to just not wanting to live stuck anymore. But we can change. And I am here proof that it's possible, because I wrote a book called 6 Steps to Fewer Days That Suck. But it wasn't for general consumption. It really was just for me. It started out as the daily decisions, decisions that questions, answers, the science behind why, little solutions, little shifts, action items, tips, all on double pages. Walk away from negativity. Get rid of the toxic in our lives. Happiness is a choice. All these things. And I'm going to leave this last sentence. I'm going to say, please don't discredit the strategy until you try it. Have faith in yourself. Accept yourself. You can do it. I did it. Nancy did it. If you know Nancy's story, and honestly, you can all do it too. I know that because we deserve to be happier. I don't say happy every minute, but happier.
That is so true. And it's really interesting that we're having this conversation right now
Yes.
because, as the first of January comes around, we always talk about the words for the year and how are we going to do things differently next year than we do now. And, everybody waits till January 1st. And I went day after Christmas, I went, I'm starting now. And I've got this whole new system that I'm praying I'll be able to keep going for a period of time until it becomes habit. But two of my board members and I have been talking over the last few weeks. And one of the things that I find myself doing is I don't really think of myself as being negative or pessimistic. I think of myself as being realistic.
Right.
So we can talk about that for a second.
Yes.
But what they were noticing is when they're talking to me and I'm saying things, I say, yes, but, and they're going, take that but out of your conversation to both yourself and to others. Try to figure. So, what my silly little brain started doing was finding alternatives for the but. you know?
I get
I
it.
was, instead of saying but, I go unless or different. And so then they were giving me another give slap because they said, no, that's not what we're talking about. Try
Right.
turning it around and looking at the positive
Look
instead
at
of
the
the negative.
positive.
And I said, but I'm not being negative.
Right. It's just the facts, right? I get it. And it's okay to say to just list the facts because they're the facts, but also to think about what serves each of us best.
So how, when people find themselves, because it's not big things, it's just everyday stuff
Right.
that I'm talking
Stress.
to myself, that voice in my head, yeah, is really frustrating because it's saying, but, I can't do this. So how do we start to shift? How do we change that so that we do become more positive? What's a better way of saying I can just push through it, or, no matter what, I'm gonna do this? What do you say to yourself?
Well, what's so interesting is you set it up so perfectly for me because you said your colleague said stop saying but. So that's the first step is awareness. Being aware of what we do, conscious of it. Because once you're aware, it's easier to change because you're focused on it. And it's not that big overhaul. I know we come to January and we're all like, oh, we need, January expects us to be a brand new you overnight. I mean, from one year to the next. No, it's small shifts. And once you make the decision to make the change, that's why my book, it's the first step is the decision because nothing will ever change until we make the decision to change something. So we're aware of it and we catch ourselves and we make these tiny shifts, micro shifts, not huge overhauls. And slowly but surely, these small little shifts, just stopping ourselves instead of I have to do something. I'm so lucky I can do something. You think of the positives in your life. That's why everybody says that, people talk about gratitude being so important, because when you start thinking about the good things in your life, and there's always some good things, even a beautiful day, even a sunrise, even the wind, I love that, on my cheeks as I'm walking. There's just certain things that make us feel good. Is slowly doing these shifts and then finding things that boost our endorphins, those feel good hormones, chemicals inside, distracting ourselves when we start to feel not so great. And I know sometimes we're at work, we can't do it, but there's there are little things you can do. You can take a little break, pause, reflect, look at something funny really quickly. I mean, we have so much access to all of this stuff. What I like to do is, first thing in the morning, I like to say something positive to myself, but we need to act on it. Like, today will be a good day. I bring my positive energy and I repeat it to myself like a mantra. I think I told you about my gratitude jar. What I do is I just put down things weekly that I did well, that I'm grateful that I was able to do, or family members I'm grateful for, or whatever it is. And when I get a little down, because we all do, I read them. I have a happiness boost box that I write things in, the quotes, things that make me smile. I mean, there's little things that we can do if we're conscious and we're aware of what we're doing. We can do these little micro shifts, and they make a big difference in our moods if we allow ourselves. That's why I said at the beginning, don't discredit this strategy until you try it. You say, oh, it's not for me, but that's being negative. Give it a try. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I can say and, I just can't say but.
That'll be our little secret joke. And everyone else listening too. You're all in
I,
on
I love it. And I
it.
love the gratitude jar. I think I'm actually going to implement that here at the community center where when a woman veteran comes in and I have a quiet room where, we've got soft music playing, we've got a lazy boy, we've got blankets to cuddle up in, we have all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to put a gratitude jar in there and sticky notes and let them just think of something and stick it in so that other people can come in and read them and see what other people are grateful for, and I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you know what? Maybe if you want, you can do something like this. It's wonderful to do as a community. I'm all about gratitude, about things that make us smile and happy, because that kind of thing boosts our endorphins. I framed it. It's my
Ooh.
gratitude collage. You just take pictures that could be from the computer. You could just print out pictures from your phone even, or print them out at CVS. You get bargains and everything. But people in your life that you love, places you want to travel, even happy words you cut from magazines or greeting cards that you received, just collage them together. And then this is what's so exciting. If you don't even have to frame it. You could stick it up on the wall somewhere. And then when you get a little down, when you look at these things that you're grateful for, people that you love, happy words, happy colors, it triggers something in your brain. And it just triggers the reward center in your brain. And it just boosts your endorphins. It makes you happier. And
Just
that,
thinking about it, and looking at it, I'm going, oh, that's so cool.
yep,
I'm
it's like,
happier.
right, it's like withdrawing something that is uplifting from your happiness bank, because we all have these happy memories. The problem is negativity bias, going back And that's why I write, in my book, I did the science behind everything because I wanted to understand why we are the way we are so that I could make the shift.
Mhm.
So our brains, dating back to early humans, tend to focus or take information that's more negative, and we remember that
Mhm.
over those positive things that happen to us. So, all we're doing by a gratitude jar, by a gratitude collage, by a happiness boost box, whatever you want to do, is we're training our mind to look at the positive because it's rewarding. It makes us
Mhm.
feel better. And honestly, we all do want to feel better. We
Mhm.
just get stuck in our brain and the worry and the circular thinking and all the things that don't serve us. So, all these little tricks, all these micro shifts, not big things, little things, being aware of what you're doing, flipping that script, and thinking about the good things in your life, or going and taking a walk in nature makes you feel good, or exercising, or meeting a friend. And I want to preface that by saying somebody that's positive,
Yeah.
somebody that serves you, because we really have to get rid of the negative in our life. There's nothing wrong with not spending time with negative people. Spend time with people, a community like your center, where people want to lift each other
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
and find ways to do that. So when you leave, you feel better. Think about it. When you feel better, you do better. You want to accomplish more. It's circular and it's little shifts.
I love it. I love it very much. Um, I have a couple of questions, and
Okay.
we've been talking about the simple habits or practices that help grow over time. That's something we've talked about, but why is it so much harder to let go of things than it is to move on? Yeah, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to. My accident was 12 years ago. Why am I still focused on that? Look at everything that's been accomplished in my life
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been if I hadn't had that accident. Look at that, but no, I sit here and I go, So what do we have to do? I mean, we all may understand that we're gonna feel better if we look at the positive,
Right.
but we can't get to that point. It is so hard to stop saying but.
It definitely is. And I want to say this: nothing will ever be perfect, and there's no magic bullet, and life is messy. It just is, and stuff happens. And we owe it to ourselves to do the best we can. That's why I say micro chefs. It's not going to be perfect every day. And we're human beings. I started saying we have these human struggles. But having little routines, things that we could do first thing in the morning, like what I do. I hug myself, I smile, because just think about it. Smiling makes us feel better. You just do it, it just something about it. I see something positive. I try to calm the cortisol spike, that natural occurring cortisol spike, the stress hormone that happens by itself, nothing to do with you in the morning. And that's why it's so important to start the day if you can calmly. But it it's not always. We're human, so we have these days that we just don't feel 100%. But if we have things that we can do, community around us, little practices like a gratitude collage, or something to look at, or somebody to call, or doing something for somebody else. So many times when we do something for somebody else, we feel good. So it's these little things. And that's what you do, Nancy. Let's be honest. You do this for your community, for these wonderful women who gave their lives, did so much for our country. And then they have to deal with their issues, problems, thoughts, actions. And it makes you feel good. It's just every day isn't the most perfect. But I find that if I stop myself from worrying or these negative thoughts, because 91% of what we worry about, that's a study out of Penn State. 91, there's study subjects, participants, 91% of what those participants worried about never happened. So when we logically know these things, we slowly make these shifts. I don't worry anymore because what is it going to do? I'm going to worry and I'm going to be upset and I didn't accomplish anything. But we can't beat ourselves up for feeling badly sometimes. Or we're in, like, you're in a situation where you're in a wheelchair. This is what it is. It, I get it. It sucks. It's like, you just want to get up and go. So we just have to accept that. Hard. It's hard. It's just so hard. That's what I said. I don't say no days that suck. I say fewer days that suck
I love it.
because hopefully over time there'll be more better days than worse days. But
Well,
there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, with anybody listening, we're human.
that brings up my next question. How can people pursue this growth in their mindset without pressuring themselves to say, I've got to heal faster. I've got to do this. I've been doing this for 30 days and nothing's happening. And how do we allow ourselves to do it at a slower or our own pace instead of pushing, pushing, pushing?
Absolutely. And that brings me to, we have to, when I talked about accept ourselves, be kind to ourselves, give ourselves grace. We do that for others in our lives. We don't pressure them. We sometimes back off because we just don't want to be pushy or whatever it is, even though we want them to do whatever we want them to do. We're gentle or kinder. We need to be kinder to ourselves. And that's what I call self care. I don't call it going to get a manicure or pedicure or bubble bath or massage or anything like that. I call self care learning one little step at a time to honor yourself, to be kinder to yourself. And that's why part of my morning ritual is give myself, and I started this whole talking with Nancy just now with give ourselves a hug, care about yourself. You're so important. We're all a gift. We're all here because we're a gift. Now, the problem is we don't honor ourselves enough. We worry about what other people think, judgment, our own judgment. We have these thoughts, maybe a little feeling a little imposter syndrome, inferior, other people are better, or this, you see whatever you see on the internet. Uh-uh. Everybody has their struggles. And if you listen to stories, as I've written in this book, little stories, short ones about people that have overcome whatever the topic is, everything that we've all gone through. And that's what it is. It's not going to happen overnight. It's taken me years. And you know what? I mean, I started this back in my writing my book in 2015. It just published 10 years later because I really wanted to go through everything. I wanted to validate it. I wanted to make sure that what I said made sense. And I'm excited to say I'm getting that feedback. Parents are giving the book to their teens because honestly, we if we learned this when we were younger, if we valued ourselves more, if we overcome maybe the bullying, because all kids bully each other, even if you're popular, still there's always something. And that's what stays with us. Now, as adults, we're stuck with it but I say we can break out of the straitjacket. We can get out of our own way and move forward if we choose to, if we make the decision. Again, it's our decision to move forward or stay stuck. And I tell you, I promise you, you can do it. I'm here. I'll help you. If I get it. I totally get it because I lived it and I still live it. But I have fewer days that suck now. Honestly, I do. And that's the goal.
That's the goal, I tell you. And we are coming to the end of our time already. I can't believe it's gone so fast, but we've pretty much already answered this question. But
Uh-huh.
if listeners could take away one simple practice from today's conversation, what would you suggest?
Love yourself more. Find the good things and don't focus on the negative. I'm not saying don't try to improve. Of course, we're all learning and growing, and that's the beautiful thing about living our lives. But just be kind to yourself and accept who you are because you're a beautiful gift just as you are. And I'm sure you have people that tell you that. Now you have to start. We all have to start to believe it ourselves. Self belief, confidence, resilience. Look what you've done. Look what you've accomplished already. You can bounce back. And that's what it's about. And the more we make these accomplishments, the more we make these positive habits that stick. Because remember, our brains will thrive on patterns. Create these positive patterns that stick and give yourself a hug every morning and smile at yourself because you will start to feel better and say something good. Set the day up right.
I love it. I love it. What a wonderful way to end the conversation. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful information. And everyone listening, you have been listening to Silent Strength. If you haven't already, please give us a quick review and rating on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. To wrap things up, often after a podcast, people want to know more about some of the things that we do at Invisible Warriors. If you'd like to hop on a Zoom, my contact information is in the show notes. And thanks again for tuning in and listening to today's conversation. See you soon.